Hey, all you cool cats and gamers! Welcome to No Category Left Behind, the GDQ hotfix show that showcases category extension speedruns. I'm your host, Nuclear, and tonight we've got two Breath of the Wild runs coming up for you. But before we get into that, a couple announcements. AGDQ 2023 online will be January 8th to 15th. The games list for the first submission period is out. The second submission period for games released after September 1st is November 6th to 12th. Visit gamesdonequick.com for more information. Also, on October 31st, we will have a Halloween Spooktacular hosted by Ecdysis and Smooth Operator. All right, and with that, I'm going to hand over everything to Bubsy to let y'all know what we are going to see. Take it away.
Yes. Thank you very much. So today we're going to see something rather special. We are back with a blindfolded speedrun, this time of a pretty well-known game called The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Some of you might have heard of it. And we will do full any percent. That means we start from a new game and go all the way till over the credits. That means we're gonna defeat the end boss, we're gonna do all the shrines and stuff, like not all of them, but you will see. Basically, lots of glitches, very fast-paced and cool run. And today I have with me player 5 for the commentary, very, very talented speedrunner of Breath of the Wild, actually currently having the world record in any percent. So if you want to introduce yourself, feel free.
Yeah, I'm player 5, so I'll be commentating the run, going over all the different tricks and setups that Bubsy is doing and how it's different from visual speedruns.
Yeah, and without further ado, I think we can just go ahead and start. The run is not the longest, but a bit long, so rather not waste time, I guess. Timing starts usually from the first movement of Link, but we can honestly start it one new game. I don't really mind. So I do a little countdown. Then I have here a separate headphone to my game, so I will not be able to get any hints during the gameplay. And then I would be ready to go, actually. Everything correctly set up. Then I would go ahead and count down. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Let's go.
Oh, the blindfold is now on. So Bubsy will not be able to see the gameplay. The beginning of Breath of the Wild is pretty slow. There's a lot of cutscenes you have to watch. So right here, Link waking up takes about a minute. And then we'll get into gameplay. The reason that timing usually starts on the first input is actually because this loading screen is... like this cutscene is inconsistent. So if you were to start a new game, watch this cutscene, and then go back to title screen and start a new game again, it'll actually take less time. Okay, so right here, you gotta pick up the Sheikah Slate. And as you can see, Bubsy is not able to see the screen, so trying to find the pedestal is pretty difficult if you lose it. But in blindfolded speedrunning, because you can't see anything, there's a lot of setups that you have to memorize to be able to keep yourself anchored. So yeah, here, it's just a bunch of cutscenes at the start. But I guess something you saw at the very first thing Bubsy did is he jumped in place while holding ZL, so you can see when Link is actually targeting. And by doing that, he's able to get more or like normalized jumps. So he'll always move the same distance.
Laisse-la t'ouvrir la voie.
And so yeah, we'll be seeing a lot of jumping setups. Because that way you can keep yourself exactly where you want to be. Now, in a visual speedrun, you actually don't go out the front door.
Celle qu'Iru l'avait perdue.
And so what you do is you get the Sheikah slate,
Mets-toi en route.
and there's a trick where you can clip out of bounds using the scope feature. And that skips all of these cutscenes that you see Bubzia watching. And so it saves a bunch of time. But instead, you have to run out the front. Although you can actually do the clip out of bounds in Blindfolded, but it makes it hard to get to the tower quickly. So they opt to go out the front. Here we watch the beautiful opening cinematic. It's a magical cutscene at the start. So Bubzia opts to make a hard save here. This part can be a bit tricky. Essentially, right now Bubzia is trying to make it to the tower. And the way he's keeping track of Link's position is using pseudo beat counting. So essentially, okay, so he got the axe and that's what he wanted. That'll be helpful for setups later. But essentially, the way he's able to run freely is by counting the number of beats. So right now he's actually like humming to himself the slide music from SM64 and counting the number of beats to figure out where he is. And so like he can run in a specific path as long as he's counting. And the reason it's pseudo beat counting is because normally you would just count the beats in the background music, but in Breath of the Wild the background music isn't very distinct. So he has to hum it himself. And so yeah, the reason he created a hard save is because finding the tower here can be pretty difficult. So if he gets lost, you would need to reload that hard save. Also right here you can see he's whistle sprinting, which is a neat glitch that a lot of people use. It's very useful. It was found like first day the game came out, but essentially by whistling and mashing B, you can sprint at 80% the speed of regular sprinting while also gaining stamina. So yeah, right here, it's very difficult to find the tower pedestal, but there we are. That was really well done. First try, made it to the tower. I guess here's another difference between the visual speedrun and Blindfolded. In the visual speedrun, we skip the tower. So normally, Great Plateau, the game wants you to activate the tower first. That activates all the shrines, all the other towers in the game. And normally the dormant shrines can't be opened without this tower. But for the visual speedrun, you're able to actually set up shrine clips. So you can actually clip through the walls, enter the shrine elevator. And the elevators are active even though the doors are closed, so you can skip all of these cutscenes with the tower and just head straight in. So in an any percent run, you wouldn't grab the tower because it saves like a minute and a half from having to get this cutscene. Yeah, it's a very long cutscene, as you can see. Now right here, this is one of the first glitches that you'll see. It's called a fall damage cancel because you're able to essentially just cancel fall damage. The way it works is you throw your weapon and then you need to unequip it while you're in the throw animation for that weapon. And so it essentially just resets Link's grounded position to wherever you did the weapon unequip. And so you get to easily drop down from the tower. And yeah, it's only really useful on the Great Plateau because once you get the paraglider, you're able to cancel fall damage just by opening the glider.
Hey.
Okay, now you see here, right there, Bubzia swings the weapon and turns left. Essentially, a lot of setups will use swing buffering, which is essentially when Link is swinging a weapon, he can't move, but he can turn. So you can actually get a consistent angle if you swing a weapon and then input the direction you want to go. And so Bubzia is actually using a third-party controller right now, 8-bit Do. And the benefit of that controller is that it uses D-pads instead of analog sticks for controlling Link's movement and camera. And so using the D-pad controller, you're able to get more consistent angles. So here, that was another beat count, essentially. Able to find his way to the shrine. Okay, here we got the bomb shrine. Now, bombs are very useful in the speedrun, or in the visual speedrun, because they allow for a lot of different glitches. Bombs are very useful in like any Zelda game. I mean, being able to blow things up causes a lot of weird side effects. And they're also pretty useful in the Blindfolded run. And we'll see a couple of the glitches that you wouldn't normally expect to be in the Blindfolded run, because they're kind of wild. But here, it's gonna be pretty straightforward. Just kind of using Link's targeted jumping to make your way around. Also, one thing to note is in Blindfolded, audio cues are very important. So you can like hear when this platform is close enough to Link that you can run onto it. Yeah, here, essentially, you want to anchor yourself with a wall to figure out where you are. And then blow up the rocks. So yeah, in the visual speedrun, normally this is this shrine is cleared using a wind bomb, which is a trick where you essentially jump, drop one bomb, go into bullet time, drop a second bomb, and by essentially launching the second bomb into Link, you cause Link to get launched at super high speeds. But because that that launch you get is pretty random in how you ragdoll, it can be difficult to pull off in a blindfolded run because you'll have no idea of knowing where you are when you get to the end of the shrine. But yeah, there's the first shrine done. A very clean execution so far. You can see there, he actually switched controllers and then prayed. Because right now he's going to be scanning amiibos. So in this game, there's amiibo functionality where essentially you can take your amiibo figurine and scan it, and it will drop a bunch of materials as well as a treasure chest. And so based on which amiibo you scan, it will drop different materials that are thematic. And then also in the treasure chest, what item you can get is different based on which figurine you use. So in this case, you're able to... And okay, the reason he switched controllers is because the third-party controller doesn't have amiibo support. So he needs to switch in order to be able to scan the amiibos. But yeah, right here, what he's looking for is the Fierce Deity set of armor, because that armor set gives you attack up as the like modifier or like special effect of it. So he's looking for all three pieces of the set so that he gets attack up for the boss fights later. So he's scanning Majora's Mask amiibos for this. And right here, he also gets a bunch of mushrooms, which the mushrooms can be cooked to give some very useful attributes. Like he's looking for iron shrooms, zap shrooms, and stamella shrooms. Stamella shrooms is the main one. He needs a bunch of them because stamella shrooms, when you cook them, give stamina, like extra stamina, which is very useful when you need to climb, which we'll be doing a lot of to get to stasis and then also later in castle. And then he needs zap shrooms because Thunderblight is quite the hard boss, and having shock protection is very useful. And then iron shrooms you also need because essentially the final boss rush you can get one-shotted by like most of the moves. And so while he's gonna have an armor set that gives him 9 defense, he also needs to cook some defense up food. So there we got the boots of the Fierce Deity set. So I believe that's 1 out of 3 needed. He's also getting like arrows from the drops. So the chest can also drop arrows, which are useful for the Ganon fight. And then the mushrooms also act as health.
Is there RNG with the drops from the amiibos on what he's gonna get?
Yes, it's entirely
Okay.
RNG. Yeah, so this section can take a lot of time, or it can take almost no time, based on how lucky he gets. Because yeah, there's like a 20% chance, roughly, of getting the Fierce Deity set from a given like amiibo chest. So yeah, essentially, you just keep scanning until you get all 3. And then everything that drops is random. So this is a big... It could be a big time loss if you get unlucky. So far, I think he's only gotten 1 piece, so that's pretty... Oh, there's the second.
Oh, there's 2.
And yeah, the reason he's able to scan all these amiibos, so normally the game only wants you to be able to scan 1 amiibo per day of a given type. But if you essentially just have multiple physical like amiibos of the same type, you can scan as many as you want. So in this case, what runners tend to... Oh, there's the 3rd one. Okay, so we're good. We have everything we need. But what runners tend to do is actually get like amiibo cards or like blank NFC tags, and then you can write your own amiibos to it. That way you don't need to buy 30 plus amiibos. Okay, so here Bubsy is getting extra food just for like safety, and also making sure he has enough mushrooms for everything he needs to cook. I believe he'll be scanning... or he usually scans at the end an amiibo that drops raw meat, and that will give him even more like backup food, because raw meat heals for 1 heart each. In this case, he's going for some extra mushrooms. There it is. There's the raw meat. Yeah, so like scanning these extra amiibos for backup food does help with safety. So you can get away with not scanning, but or not scanning a bunch of extra, but if you run out of healing later on, it'll be pretty bad. So in a marathon setting, or like right here for a showcase, it's good to get extra just in case things go a little bit wrong.
Okay. For marathon safety, I did like extra much food, so we should be fine. I'm done now.
Okay.
Oops.
The bomb arrows. But yeah, and so for arrows, the best type of arrows to get is bomb arrows, because they deal the most damage. But yeah, any arrows you get is good. So right here, Bubsy is checking his inventory, dropping all the claymores he got from the amiibos. See, we don't need those. And we'll be picking up better equipment later in Castle. So right here, we'll be making our way over to... Oh, and there's the switch back to the 8-bit DOE controller. So we'll be going to the Stasis Shrine. Okay, so right there, because Link climbed like the corner of the wall, it actually messed up Link's angle. So he just warped back to bombs to reset his position to a spot where he knows where he is. So here's a combination of bunny hopping and setting angle and stuff to make his way over. Right there, swing buffering, getting a consistent diagonal angle with the 8-bit Do controller. And now it should be a pretty straight shot to get to the old man's hut. That's over by the Stasis Shrine, just, lower down. And so the reason we're going over there is, well, for two things. One, it's on the way to the Stasis Shrine, but it also has a cooking pot, which we'll need to cook a couple of different meals. So yeah, here it's just a straight shot all the way. And because he set himself up earlier, we'll be able to just go straight and grab onto the hut. Here he is going to actually check his inventory, I think, and figure out what he has. Which, this part's pretty cool. Essentially, the way Breath of the Wild's menus are set up, you can sort, and because the sort is based on the IDs of the items, like you can get a consistent, like you can figure out what mushrooms you have, even though you can't see. So right here, you grab a stemella which will auto-focus your menu onto these stemella shrooms. So you know that when you open the menu, you're going to be selected on the right thing. And then from there, you can count like the number of mushrooms left of the stemella shrooms and figure things out. So he knows the stemella shrooms are 2, or it's in the 3rd slot, essentially. Then he picked up a bunch of mushrooms, so he's basically got them all the different types. So here, I believe he just cooked the sunshrooms, which gives, oh yeah, so he didn't pick up the spicy peppers. Essentially, he cooked the sunshrooms for cold resist, because we'll be in the cold area going to the Cryonis Shrine later. So yeah, zap shrooms he cooks for Thunderblight. And then stemella shrooms are for stamina, and like that'll be used for climbing. And then yeah, there's the iron shrooms for defense. Rush rooms for a little bit of speed up. Now this section is actually apparently one of the worst for Blindfolded, because while in the visual speedrun you can just like you do a wind bomb all the way up to the shrine, but here you need to climb up, and so to do that you have to cross this tree, or it's like a gap, and to do that you need to cut down the tree, and the way the tree falls is pretty random. So he makes a hard save so that he can try again if it doesn't work out. So yeah, right there, that's a swing buffer left. Didn't quite get the swing out though, so Link started walking. And then yeah, he fell off. But because he has the hard save, he can just try again. And the way the like saving works in this game, you need to save in specific spots because sometimes if you make a save, it won't put Link directly where you're standing when you make the save. So yeah, you got to be careful of that. So here, walking across the tree, but Link is kind of stuck on the tree. Yeah, it fell right in front of the other tree. That's interesting, but you know, so far so good. Might be able to save it. One of the incredible things about blindfolded runs is the runner's ability to back things up if unexpected things happen. So right there, despite Link having some difficulty getting off the tree, Bubsy is still able to figure out where he is and make it up to where he needs to go. So yeah, right here, it's a bunch of climbing. When you're holding ZL and you walk towards a ledge, there's something called ledge protection, so it prevents Link from falling off. So yeah, right here you see he's strafing right so that he reaches the edge. And he's able to do that without falling off because of the way the game works. And there we are. Reached the second shrine. This one is the stasis shrine. So here, stasis, like the inside of the shrine is on a cycle. There's a moving gear in here at the start that you need to cross. You need to stop it at a certain point so that Link can cross the platform. And so here, you need to essentially hit a cycle by doing the same inputs every time to be able to stop the gear at the right spot. Exactly where he wanted it to go. It's a very level platform as well. Okay, now here, he's gonna need to stop this boulder so that he can run up the ramp. And so to aim the camera up to be able to stasis that like oncoming boulder, he uses scope cancels. So essentially by scope aiming and then canceling it,
What?
he can move the essentially Link's aim slightly up in a set amount so that he can stasis the boulder. Okay, so right here, he's actually slightly off. Link like turned a bit, or the camera turned a bit, so let's see. Okay, he corrected it.
A quick note, I accidentally turned my angle. This might not work.
Actually, the adjustment back was pretty good. Pretty straight on, but yeah, here, let's see. It just needs to go to the boulder and then stasis hit it, but he's gotta find where he is. Yeah, the nice part about shrines is that they're very small and also very like structured, so you can kind of always retry, and it's pretty nice in that. If you get stuck, you can always just like reload, and then it'll always put you at the start of the shrine.
It's incredible in a game like this how he's able to recover mistakes like that.
There we go. Yeah, it takes a lot of knowledge of the game. Because obviously, if you can see it, then you just move Link to where you need to go. But being able to like figure out what went wrong and fix it. It's right there. It's like you didn't have to reload or anything. You just made it work. So yeah, pretty clean. Now, right here, we're going to be making our way to Cryo. So it makes a hard save. So you have to climb up this rock. Grab the hammer, which will be useful later. And so this will be this is the biggest beat count in the run. Essentially, Bubsy is just going to be running like all the way through the snow, following a beat count. So let's see how it goes. And yeah, he makes the hard save so that he can retry it. But this part's pretty incredible. And then yeah, he ate the meal to get cold resist so that he's not taking any damage here. Yeah, you can see Bubsy is counting. So yeah, it's a big section of just like running, and then at the end he actually does a shield surf, which should take him where he needs to go. And the goal here is to actually make it to a DLC chest that spawns. So if you have the DLC installed, there's a couple of extra chests on Plateau. It's like there's also DLC armor that you can get, like, say, the Majora's Mask or Phantom Ganon armor or something. But here, there's a couple that spawn on Plateau that are pretty useful. So this one is just 5 bomb arrows, but 5 bomb arrows helps with Ganon at the end. So yeah, shield surf takes him pretty close, and then here you can anchor on the wall and then find the chest. There we are. Very clean. That was first try. Made it all the way. And here, it's just climbing up until you reach the shrine. Yeah, one of the nice things about whistle sprinting is that it helps with climbing because you're essentially able to regain stamina if the slope of the thing you're trying to climb is not super steep. So you can like regain stamina as you're climbing it. So yeah, there, found the shrine pedestal. Now we're in Cryonis. So this one is actually one of the faster shrines. this. And it's fairly straightforward. There is a guardian though that can shoot you, so that introduces a bit of randomness. Now normally, in the visual speedrun, we actually do the bomb shrine first, which is the same as this run, but we do it because it gives us access to wind bombs, which are very powerful and can essentially trivialize any shrine completion because you just launch yourself to the end. But here, Bubzia has actually done a wind bomb blindfolded to clear this shrine. So there's a setup you can do to be able to clear it with a wind bomb. Essentially, you wind bomb up, and then you can anchor yourself by like running into a wall, and then figure out where you are and make it to the monk at the end. But it's actually not faster to do that because of how long it takes to anchor yourself afterwards. And this is a pretty straightforward shrine. Just using bunny hops and things. So right here, I think he's gonna eat his speed food. That makes movement speed a little bit quicker. And there we go. That is 3 of the 4 shrines done. So the way Breath of the Wild runs are set up, and the way the game is set up, is that essentially on the Great Plateau, that's the tutorial section of the game, and you need to complete the 4 shrines in order to have the old man give you the paraglider, and having the paraglider lets you leave the Great Plateau. So every speedrunner of the game is going to have to complete these 4 shrines before you can leave and continue the game. Okay, so right here he's warping to tower because the Magnesis shrine is very close by. And we kind of leave the Magnesis shrine to last, even though normally when you play the game for the first time, this one is the first one you see off of the Great Plateau Tower because it's so close. But Magnesis isn't super useful for the run, so I'll leave it to the end. And having the other runes is actually useful for the getting through plateau. Like having stasis, for instance, is going to be useful in this shrine. Like right there, you could use cryo to cross the river, or the water section. Okay, now reset Link's position, anchor is in the left. Oh no. Sometimes ledge protection doesn't work quite well enough. And so if you're like walking to the edge, you can still kind of slide off a bit. And so Link slid off backwards, causing him to fall off into the water. But luckily, pretty easy to fix. Now, the 4th shrine. So yeah, in Magnesis, it's also pretty straightforward. And again, in the visual speedrun, there's a wind bomb to make it to the end, which is a theme for the speedruns, or the visual speedruns of this game. It's a lot of wind bombing. And there are a couple other tricks that get used, but for shrines, it's mostly just wind bombs. But yeah, in this, you can't really set up a consistent wind bomb to the end. So you kind of just go through it normally. So with Magnesis, using the rune actually changes the camera angle, which is bad for blindfolded speedruns, because if your camera is set incorrectly, it can cause you to move in unexpected ways, in unexpected directions. So right here, he actually uses stasis instead of magnesis to move the blocks out of the way. Ooh, in this case, it didn't quite work out properly. What's supposed to happen is the block, so the metal block is supposed to get launched and kill the guardian that's behind the rocks, and then it's supposed to also then set it up for Link to be able to just jump over the rocks. But the way the rocks were positioned, he couldn't jump onto the next one. It's right there. You can do a shield jump to get a little bit of extra distance, and so normally that would be a shield jump over the gap, but because we have Cryonis, you can actually back that up very easily. And then again, using stasis to open metal doors, because using magnesis will mess up the camera. And there we have it. That's 4 shrines completed. Now all that's left is going to the Temple of Time to talk to the old man and get the paraglider, and we can head on over to the castle. So yeah, right here you get a little cutscene. The old man is essentially just telling you to go to the point where all the 4 shrines intersect, which is the Temple of Time. And so here, Bubzia will warp to Bombs, because Bombs is closer and is a pretty straight shot over to the Temple of Time. It's just, this section is mostly just going to be running. But yeah, it's also like, it's a nice calm section before we get into the really intense part of the run. Because yeah, it's like Great Plateau it's a nice tutorial section. There aren't really a lot of enemies around. You're just kind of exploring the world. But then once you leave the Great Plateau and you go to Hyrule Castle, everything becomes a lot trickier. So yeah, here it's a straight shot. If you just run in the line straight towards the Temple of Time, Link will actually get where he wants to go. There's a ladder you have to climb, and so this will take you all the way there. But yeah, I guess normally in a playthrough of this game, you don't head straight to Hyrule Castle. But in a speedrun, obviously, it's fastest if you do. And so what they did is essentially if you head to castle straight away, there's the blight forms of Ganon. Oh, here's a beat count. Try and get to the top of the roof. So he's a little bit off, a little too far right. Okay. Let's see. I'm just trying to figure out where he is. He can actually figure out if he's on like a slope if by jumping he hears Link falling for longer. So yeah, that was very well done. And that's the Great Plateau completed. But yeah, essentially, normally the game wants you to complete the Divine Beasts before you head over to Ganon and finish the game. You don't have to do that. But essentially, there's the blight forms of Ganon, and if you don't defeat them in the Divine Beasts, they appear in Castle for a boss rush, essentially. So if you don't do the Divine Beasts, it makes for a very intense rush at the end. Because if you die to any of the forms of Ganon, you restart the whole thing. So it can be very brutal. So right here, he grabs an extra bow, and then, or actually that's the first bow he grabbed. Yeah, normally in the visual speedrun, you grab a bow real quick because you grab a bow, a shield, and a weapon because that allows you to do a bunch of different glitches. Oops. Yeah, grabbing a bow allows you to enter bullet time, and bullet time physics is really weird. And lets us do a bunch of glitches, but in blindfolded speedruns, you don't really need to do those glitches. Or you can't really do them. But right here, so this is really cool. One of the glitches I didn't mention that gets used a lot in visual speedruns is called BLSS, or Bow Lift Smoggle Slide, and it was actually found September of last year. And you'll see, essentially, Link picks up the bomb while holding the bow, and then jumps, puts away the bow, unequips shield, and now the bomb is stuck to Link's hand. And this essentially puts Link in a special state where you can just fly. So when you do a special step-up animation, that animation is not affected by gravity. And so with that bow lift smuggle state, you can actually just hover through the air. So yeah, right here, you wouldn't expect to be able to use it in a blindfolded speedrun because it's not super normalized. As you can see, he's kind of just he's floating towards the castle, but where he lands varies a lot based on how you wiggle and how the camera's facing and stuff like that. So right here, he's able to do this because of the way the castle works. So there's a mini map that loads. Well, this one went straight to the castle. It's actually really nice. So yeah, once the castle loads in, there's going to be a mini map that appears. Let's see. So it hasn't loaded in yet. But essentially, once it does, there's an option to leave the castle. And so yeah, right there, he made it. That was really nice. It went straight to the castle. But by leaving the area, it always puts you right in front of the front gate. So you can re-anchor yourself. But it's super cool that BLSS is used in the blindfolded run. And it saves essentially just running all the way to castle. here's the castle cutscene. You get it the first time you enter Hyrule Castle. So yeah, the castle section of the run is pretty intense, and then it ends with a super intense boss rush. So here we've got, again, stasising metal objects instead, because it's more consistent. And right here, he's going to be hopping over to a specific spot and then saving, because he needs to actually kill this guardian right there that's targeting him. So yeah, he saves because if he misses this parry, he'll want that save to be able to reload and try again. And yeah, right here, he's relying on an audio cue to be able to parry it. Yeah, audio cues are very important for Blindfolded. Speedruns. And actually, in the visual run, there's like one spot. Oh.
My shield burned, right?
Yeah, so right there, he actually parried a little bit late. I'm pretty sure it's late. Yeah, so he parried a little bit late, so it's like parrying the explosion of the laser. It deals like 1 heart of damage to you, and your shield's on fire. So it sounds like you got the parry, but you didn't. Yeah, the one audio cue I use in the visual run is actually parrying Calamity Ganon's laser. So this is a similar audio cue, but it's a bit different because like the Guardian is pretty far away. There we go.
Oh, come on. What?
Yeah, so Link actually like turned to the left, which is not normal. That's not what's supposed to happen. So you can see it can be a bit confusing when small things like that happen. Oh. Yeah, he got close and then let go of ZL and hit ZL again, which targeted the Guardian. And yeah, keeping the camera consistent is very important in this run. Okay, there we go. That's nice. Oh, he actually does want... Okay, so he actually does want the camera to turn left, and I think he used the rune in order to get a consistent turn of the camera. But he forgot to side hopper right last time, which is why he fell off. Yeah, but here it's a setup to get into the castle. So entering from here gives you access to the armory, which essentially has a ton of really strong equipment. And we'll be needing that equipment to essentially take out all the bosses. Because yeah, normally you can't, or you don't have enough like firepower to beat all of the blights in Calamity unless you pick up a bunch of really strong equipment from Castle. Because yeah, right now, like, we left Great Plateau with a pot lid and an axe, and that's basically it. I guess also a hammer. Yeah, we'll be needing to pick up some better equipment. So right here, there's a Lizalfos coming up. That can be pretty tricky to deal with. So, let's see. How Bubsy deals with it. Yeah, Lizalfos are very annoying enemies to deal with because they're very fast and their movement is kind of just hard to deal with. Oh, so he actually... Oh, that was really cool. I'm pretty sure that's new. The runs I had watched earlier, he did a different setup to deal with that Lizalfos. But right there, he actually set up the bomb in a way that it distracted the Lizalfos so that he could get a sneak strike. But the thing is, the hammer that he's using isn't strong enough. Even with the, like, sneak strikes deal a ton of damage. And so even with that extra damage from the sneak strike, he wasn't able to deal enough damage to kill the Lizalfos. But something you can do in this game is sneak strike an enemy, wait for it to turn around, like it'll get up and then turn around immediately. So you can position yourself in a spot where you can sneak strike again. Essentially, if you just go behind the enemy, you can stun lock it with sneak strikes. And so he managed to kill it. So right there, he grabbed some ancient arrows from the chest. Ancient arrows are super strong. They're the strongest arrow in the game. And so that'll be very useful for the boss fights. Also, he grabbed the Lizalfos' boomerang and shield. So shields are very useful because essentially they let us parry attacks. So right here, he's actually trying to get the Royal Claymore that you can see he's about to pick up. And then he's also trying to get the Royal Guard's Claymore, which that Moblin has. So right there, he actually alerts the Moblin to lure it towards him. And then as the Moblin is going away from the Royal Claymore, he makes his way over with some bunny hops and then grabs it, makes a save, and then reloads. So this puts him right behind the Moblin with the Moblin de-aggroed. So he's able to sneak strike it immediately. So yeah, that's a really cool setup. He grabs like essentially the same weapons that we grab in the visual speedrun. Because yeah, we grab the Lizalfos boomerang, the Royal Claymore, the Royal Guard's Claymore, and then we grab one more weapon, one more two-handed weapon with the Edge of Duality. But that one is pretty far away, so he won't be grabbing that. Right here, that's a static Razor Shroom. So, or not Razor Shroom, that's a static Iron Shroom. So he's right now figuring out where in his inventory the Iron Shroom is. Because, yeah, he still needs to cook the defense up meal to be able to survive attacks in the boss rush. In Calamity specifically. So right there, here's a Lionel shield, which the different shields have different like defensive values, But yeah, the value that you see isn't super useful. 'Cause yeah, essentially the shields we're picking up so that we have extra chances to parry. Okay, so right there, Link's climbing got kind of messed up. Now, it gives you an autosave after you pick up a chest, so let's see if... Oh. The fence. Climbing on the fence made Link's angle slightly off. Yeah. You should be able to recover. If push comes to shove, he can always reload previous saves and his hard save will be available as well. So this is something he can recover from. So yeah, right here he's re-getting the iron shroom and stuff. So yeah, it's like you can reload previous saves. But the way autosaves work is they happen pretty often, and you don't know exactly when they happen. Sometimes it's at the wrong time, and so because you can't see when the autosave is happening in a blindfolded run, they can be a bit annoying, hard to deal with. But right here, he's picking up a Nadrafang in this chest. So dragon parts are useful in cooking because they essentially guarantee a crit, a critical cook, which will increase the length of the effect by a lot. So right here, he grabs the Nadrafang in order to cook a really long-lasting defense up potion or meal. And yeah, there's a cooking pot right up by this hallway, which is very convenient. And this is the same cooking pot we use in the visual run to be able to cook our attack up meal. Okay, so right here, he already figured out where the iron shrooms are in his inventory, and then he knows that the Nadrafang is the last thing he just picked up, so he can find that as well. Yeah, you can see the effect lasts for quite some time. So now it's time to head on over to the Sanctum. And this is where you get to fight Ganon. This is the final showdown. So he warps back to the beginning of Castle to reset his position. Yeah, currently we have the defense up, the shock resist, and then we also have the Fierce Deity armor, which gives him level 3 attack up. So normally in the visual run, you don't grab any like clothing because it's faster not to, and we cook the attack up. But in this case, because it's a lot harder to fight the bosses because you can't see them, so avoiding attacks can be very difficult when you can't see. So essentially, yeah, having that or having a boss fight where you don't take any damage or get hit at all is very unlikely. And so having the attack up come from your armor is pretty useful. And allows you to have multiple modifiers or like buffs, because normally if you eat a meal and it gives you like, oh, right here, we use the stimula meal to regain stamina and allow us to climb.
I forgot the order in which I cooked the food.
Okay, yeah, so he forgot which meal he cooked first. So he knows it's one of the first two.
Okay, you know what?
Okay, so he's probably gonna try and figure it out.
Okay, never mind.
But yeah, like if you cook a meal and that gives you the some sort of buff, and then you eat a different meal that gives a different buff. So like, for instance, if you have a shock resist and you eat that meal and then you eat a meal that gives you defense up, it will override the shock resist. Whereas if you have an armor set that gives you a certain buff and then you eat a meal, you can have both at the same time. So that's why having the Fierce Deity set is pretty useful. Also, I guess something to note is that there's like 3 people running Breath of the Wild any percent blindfolded. There's Bubzia, Crystal Saver, and Mariana. And they all use different routes. So in this case, Bubzia grabs the Fierce Deity set, but Crystal Saver will grab the DLC armor. It's the Phantom armor that gives attack up as well. And so there's these pretty cool route differences that you get to see. Yeah, right there.
Are you kidding me?
Unfortunately, the Guardian was targeting him. And yeah, that Guardian laser can be pretty bad. So you just save reload and then that will reset the Guardian's like position. So hopefully this time it won't target Link. So right here, he still doesn't know which meal is the right one. So I'm interested to see how he figures it out. He might do just a trial and error.
I have to test which one is the Stamella, I don't know, and I just figured out I have to just test it anyways.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I would expect. So he's essentially just gonna try it out, take a guess, and then if it's correct, then he'll be able to climb it. So right there, he made it.
Nice.
So yeah, that was a 50-50, I guess. And right here, he grabs, on this balcony, there's 5 arrows, a royal bow, and a chest with 3 ancient arrows. So this is pretty useful. The royal bow has, I believe it's 38 attack. So that'll be used a lot during Calamity and the Blights to deal a bunch of damage. Oh, 5 extra arrows. this equipment will be pretty useful for the fights. Now here, essentially, all that's left to do is, like, we've picked up all the equipment we need, and now it's just getting to the boss room. And it's pretty interesting right here. So, I was talking about wind bombs earlier. And how wind bombs are...
I have an angle.
Let's see, yeah. But yeah, wind bombs are usually not... Or they're very useful in the visual run, but not useful as much in the blindfolded run because of how varied your launch angle can be. But here we're actually gonna see Bubsy go for a wind bomb to make it to the sanctum entrance. So right here, he's got to figure out kind of where Link is. To try and get himself back to the spot where he's supposed to wind bomb from. And this is the autosave after grabbing the chest. So he's just kind of like moving around, figuring out where the malice is. Okay, so he should be good now. And this time Link didn't get like pushed by the edge, and that's what messed him up last time. So right here, autosave it or hard save, and then this will be a wind bomb. And this one, it's like his angle is already set up, and it's a straight shot, so that's why he's able to do it. Okay, got it. And now this should send him straight to the end. So yeah, that was really clean. That's the save, reload to get the Guardian 2. Hopefully not kill him, but can be hard to avoid. Right there, he avoided the laser, but he only had half a heart, so the explosion damage killed him. Now this part, okay, good. There's times where it's like you do a wind bomb, and then because of how fast Link is moving, the save will like not put you where you want to be. So right here, this is actually, in my opinion, one of the coolest parts of the run. He's going for a setup, right? It's a very specific setup for a trick called Wind Blight Skip. So we do this in the visual run. The setup's different, as you can actually see, and so and you can set your camera angle and stuff. But essentially, what we're trying to do is shoot an arrow and enter the cutscene right after. And if we shoot the arrow at a very, very specific spot and enter the cutscene at the right time, then entering the cutscene will actually it'll pause the arrow, it'll freeze it inside of Windblight's head. And so Windblight's hurt box is essentially active during that cutscene, so the arrow will continuously deal damage, and hopefully it will kill Windblight without any extra damage needed. So yeah, it uses scope cancels, using the runes to like change Link's aim like vertically, very precisely. So you can see Windblight's head is like moving, it's like shaking, and that means he's getting hit. Oh, it worked. Yeah. So there, Windblight's just gone. But yeah, that's the first of 4 blights that he has to fight. So now we've got Water Blight. Now Water Blight is pretty straightforward. He avoided the spear at the beginning and then just kind of hit Water Blight with the claymores until the second phase starts. Now phase 2, Water Blight can either go towards the throne or towards the entrance of Sanctum. Now, for Blindfolded, these boss fights are essentially using it's using echolocation. So like you listen to where the blights are going, and that's how you move towards them. And then essentially you're relying on Link's targeting to be able to find the boss and then damage it, like shoot it with an arrow or something. So in this case, if Water Blight goes towards the throne, you actually aren't able to target, and so yeah, he won't be able to hit Water Blight.
What?
Until Water Blight goes to the entrance. So
What? What was that?
yeah, right there, he accidentally climbed the wall, which is unfortunate.
Oh, God.
Okay, so right here, this laser will always kill Link. So what he does is he blows himself up so that the laser doesn't kill him. Because yeah, if you blow yourself up or like take damage, you get a little bit of invincibility, and so you're able to use that fact to avoid certain attacks that will instantly kill you. Yeah, right here, targeting enemies actually like it aims your bow automatically, so you're able to get consistent headshots even in the blindfolded run, which is pretty cool. So right here he's like stun locking him essentially using headshots. And there's phase 1 of Fireblade. So yeah, that was pretty straightforward, but very impressive. And super cool that you can actually do these fights without being able to see. So right here, phase 1 or phase 2 of Fireblight starts off with Fireblight going up and like doing a huge explosion attack. Essentially, you just drop a bomb, Fireblight will suck it up, and then you blow the bomb up.
Are you kidding me?
And that will bring him down, and now it acts essentially like the first phase.
What?
Ooh.
Oh, I might be out of arrows.
So you can see he survived with a quarter of a heart. So this game has something called one-hit protection, which is if you're at full hearts, you actually won't die most of the time for most attacks. It's not every attack, so certain attacks are strong enough that they don't get affected by one class protection.
Come on, dude.
Oh, that was really unfortunate. So yeah, he actually ran out of regular arrows. So he switched to bomb arrows, but Fireblight was too close, and the bomb arrow killed him. And this is why the end of this run is very, very brutal. Because every time you die, you go back to the first. You go back to the first blight. So you have to just keep trying it until you get through all the phases, and there's a lot. Essentially, one hit protection is if you're at max hearts, you'll survive most attacks. And so using that, you can actually survive a hit and then eat back up to full hearts. And then you should be mostly safe.
Oops.
So yeah, you'll see Bubsio will get hit and then is just gonna like spam, try to eat. Okay, here's a Flurry Rush. So it didn't quite go as expected because when Bubsio side hopped to the left to avoid the attack,
I did 0 hits.
he didn't quite go far enough left. So the spear attack actually hit his shield. So yeah, he's currently using Flurry Rushes to just finish the phase. Back to phase 2. Super impressive that you can like get these headshots. And these strats are they aren't too different from what you would see in the visual speedrun. Obviously they are different, but we do just like fight the blights and Calamity pretty normally. So it's like, yeah, a combination of like headshots and stunning them and all of that. There we go. It's a clean phase 2 water blight. Because last time he accidentally climbed the wall. I messed him up. Okay, this time he's opting to not use all of his arrows here. So last time he ran out of regular arrows, so he this time used the claymore more to conserve arrows. Phase 2. And yeah, so one of the other hard parts about this boss rush at the end is we're coming in very weak. Obviously, we've grabbed a bunch of very strong equipment, but we also grabbed the minimum amount required. So the durability routing is pretty tight. And so you've got to be conscious of that. So right here, Thunderblight's gonna zoom in, and then Bubsy is gonna want to break his shield, and that's what the one-handed weapon is for. Okay, so here he's in Thunderblight, so he's gonna eat the shock resist level 3 that he cooked. So he goes for a flurry rush.
No, what? Oh no, this is bad.
Okay, so I think he did want to break the shield instead of doing the flurry rush. So in this case, let's see. 'Cause yeah, that was unintended. Or maybe he, let's see, wait. Okay, so he wanted to, I see. He wanted to get the max number of hits from the flurry rush.
This might not work.
Without,
Like, very likely it will not work.
yeah, he wanted the max number of hits from the flurry rush without then doing the final, like the combo finisher, because the combo finisher will launch Thunderblade away. Oh, he's breaking the shield here. Okay. So this is what we do in the visual run.
Oof, it worked, dude.
That's actually really cool. Yeah, so he wanted to stay kind of in the center while finishing phase 1 so that he could set up that. Because yeah, if you don't break his shield and knock him down with like a weapon throw or like a headshot or something, then the other option is to knock him down with the metal poles that he drops, because they become electrified. And so that's how you're supposed to do it, but you can get away with throwing weapons. And so it's a very specific setup of like Link's position to be able to break the shield with the boomerang throw, then throw the Royal Guard's Claymore. So right here in the Calamity Room, you can grab a couple of extra weapons, and so those will help later on with dealing enough damage. You also get an extra shield and bomb arrows.
No! Oh, no.
So yeah, there's a Royal Broadsword, a Royal Shield, 10 bomb arrows, and then he will be making his way over to a Royal Claymore as well. Okay, this is a bit tricky.
I need to find my weapon.
He's like right on it, but obviously he can't see it, so there
Yes! I think I got it, dude.
Yeah, so he needs that Claymore for later.
God, this is so scuffed.
But right here, he ate the defense up food, so he should be able to survive basically all of Calamity's attacks. And so as long as he makes sure to eat a bunch, he should be mostly safe. One of the tricky bits of Calamity is this fire.
I think I have my weapon, dude.
So a lot of Calamity's attacks will leave a trail of fire, and the fire deals a ton of damage. And so it's also hard to know where the fire is because he can't see it. And so he's essentially just constantly trying to eat in order to avoid like accidentally dying to the fire, because it can rack up damage very quickly. So he eats to full. This fight is a lot of flurry rushes and arrow shots.
What? What was that?
And ideally he wants as many headshots as he can get, but because he can't actually see, it's not like he can aim for the headshots. And right there, this shield is durable enough to be able to withstand that.
Oh, fire damage.
Yeah, you can see there the fire damage. It like racks up very quickly. If you stand there for like, the initial amount of damage is like 1 heart. And then if you stand there for longer, it just keeps dealing damage. And when Calamity's on the wall, you can knock him down using either 2 bomb arrows, 1 ancient arrow, or 3 regular arrows, or regular or elemental. And so right here, you can see he keeps him off the wall using bomb arrows because it only takes 2 shots. These are very nice flurry rushes. He's been hitting them very consistently.
What? Did I use the hammer? What was that weapon? Strange.
Yeah, you can see like inventory management. It's very interesting because obviously you can't just look at what you have. So right here, it's like needs to figure out which weapon he's using. And he wants to leave that last claymore untouched. So he wants max durability on that because it'll be used phase 2 for hopefully most of the damage. But yeah, this fight can be very scary. Like, learning the visual speedrun, guys, this is the hardest part to learn. And doing it blindfolded, there's a lot of variability in it. And then also like the consequence of having to start all over is pretty big. So yeah, right here, what you want is that laser on the ground. Oh no. Oh, that's so unfortunate.
What? Oh no, because the weapon broke.
Yeah, so the weapon...
Dude, rip stun lock.
Yeah, normally the way phase 2 is supposed to go, and this is for both the visual and blindfolded run, is there's a stun lock you can do on Calamity where you parry the laser and then spin with the claymore. And then if you slam the claymore at a
That's a yikes.
specific time, then you can keep Calamity stunned. Yeah, and you can just keep on dealing damage.
My shield is gone. Oh.
So right there, you're supposed to deal a certain, like a small amount of damage before you start doing the stun lock. Before you start spinning with the claymore, but because his royal broadsword was badly damaged, oh, that was a nice parry. I have a lot of trouble with that parry myself. Right here, we're gonna see him attempt the stun lock. Okay, he spins and then slams, and now Calamity will be stunned again, and then he just keeps spinning and slamming. Hopefully, it will just keep on stunning him.
I just want a huge shout outs to Bubsy for being able to recover the way he's been doing this whole run. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, the ability to like adjust to
Do you have any weapons left?
all of the like randomness in this game is incredible. So right now he didn't quite deal enough damage, but as you can see, like the health bar is pretty low, so he's just gonna try to finish off with flurry rushes and parries.
Not many.
Yeah, but he's like super close to finishing it off. Just a few more hits. Although right now he's equipped with the hammer, which is a 12 attack weapon, I think. So he won't deal that much damage.
What?
Oh,
That hit me.
yep. So that one was the middle claw. There's like the small hand attacks, and then the large like axe attacks you can get.
Don't know what weapons I have, but I just go for it.
Why?
Come
But if this is the
on.
hammer though,
So
no.
close.
I would just eat an ancient in his face.
Oh yeah, okay, he's got arrows. So there we go.
There we go.
Oh, that was the right
Hey.
choice.
Yeah, so that was essentially what he needed. So once you defeat Calamity and you're in Dark Beast, essentially like the really stressful part of the run is over, because now if he dies, he respawns at the start of Dark Beast. So it's a lot less punishing. And yeah, you can just keep trying this. And so with Dark Beast, how it normally goes, it's an auto-scroller. Essentially, Zelda will tell you to shoot some lighted up areas on Dark Beast's like body, and then you just shoot them. Wait for the next spots to, like the glowing spots to appear, and then you just rinse and repeat. The cool part about this in Blindfold is that you can't see them, so you need to have a specific setup, which requires a bunch of scope cancels to line up. And you actually don't use the horse at all, which is also pretty cool. Yeah, this part it's hard, but so like he really has to practice this section, but if he dies or messes it up, he gets to retry it. So you can see he's just like resetting his aim with like exiting bow aim and stuff, and then you just keep shooting until you hit this spots. And then yeah, like the lasers that Dark Beast is shooting are very easy to avoid because like they're very slow. So right here, he wants to like narrowly avoid that one, and then time this shot so that can hit the belly. So on the third shot here, it should hit. There we are. Now he's in an updraft.
Dude, what a fight!
And so yeah, you need to finish the Dark Beast fight in bullet time. So he's going to use one last beat count to be able to jump, float in the air, and then shoot the final eye. And timing ends when the first frame of the explosion on the eye. We'll see that very shortly. But yeah, huge GGs. This is crazy.
Time!
GG. There it is.
GG.
Ooh! Hello.
Hello.
Yo,
that was
GG.
absolutely incredible.
GG's. Thank you. Well, the last fight kind of went a bit off script, but it worked out.
Yeah, I mentioned a couple times and I saw in chat too, it's almost even more incredible to watch the run go wrong in a way, because
Yeah.
just like seeing how you recover from it is so awesome. Like that's I think the more difficult part is when things don't go according to the script.
Yeah, definitely. In blindfolded runs especially, backups are like the 90% of the run probably. So happy that I could showcase them here.
Yeah. Super phenomenal. Chat, please, I know I've been posting this quite a bit. Please go give Bubsy a follow if you do not already. Definitely deserves as much support as we can give him. It's absolutely incredible runner. Bubsy, I'm going to let you go ahead and shout out, let people know what are you doing on your channel, any other shout outs you might want to give as well.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. So yeah, this was Blindfolded Breath of the Wild, any percent in, I think, like 1 hour 40 something. I really hope you enjoyed it. It's a run I started learning like earlier this year. And yeah, on my Twitch, I usually stream blindfolded speedruns of various games, like 4 to 5 times a week, mostly probably known for SM64, which I will make a big comeback from January, so look forward to that. I'm currently going for a full blindfolded world record sweep. And many other projects are planned, like Dark Souls 3 and Mario Odyssey. So we're working on lots of things. Blindfolded Breath of the Wild, I think I'm kind of like stepping away from that project a bit from now on. Just because I have so much other stuff to do that I want to finish. But I will do some more runs in the future, especially because shout out to Crystal Saver. Crystal Saver, another Breath of the Wild blindfolded runner, is routing currently some crazy routes, probably with like new glitches and stuff. We will see. And yeah, big shout outs to Saver. Also, some of the setups you saw today here are from him, many. And yeah, a big shout outs to the whole blindfolded speedrun community and the Breath of the Wild community too. Player 5 right here commentary did the commentary. Thank you so much for helping me out here. And I believe you are yourself running Breath of the Wild now and after the break. So big shout outs to you. Stay here and watch Player 5 destroy this game visually. And yeah, that's from everything from my side. Player 5, if you want to say anything still, go ahead. I would be done, I think.
Well, thank you for inviting me here to commentate. That was a blast. Big GGs on the run. And yeah, shout outs to the blindfolded community for putting on, like, that's just such an impressive show to watch. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you both so much. Absolutely incredible chat. Again, please go give Bubsy a follow. Also, though, we are going to take a break, but as Bubsy has said, Player 5 will be back after our break running All Dog Treasures, which is a favorite category extension of mine of Breath of the Wild. Definitely a treat if you haven't seen it. So make sure to stick around. Player 5 is an absolute incredible runner of this game. You won't want to miss it. We'll be right back. Hey, all you cool cats and gamers. Welcome back to No Category Left Behind, the GDQ hotfix show that showcases category extension speedruns. I'm your host, Nuclear, and with me tonight, we've got Player 5 to showcase Breath of the Wild All Dog Treasures. Before we get into the run, though, I do have a couple announcements. If you want to follow what Games Done Quick is up to, use command links in Twitch chat for all things GDQ. Also, your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel help support Games Done Quick, both with hotfix and with AGDQ 2023 costs. So please consider subscribing if you enjoy the daily GDQ content. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass things over to Player 5 so he can explain what this run is for us. Take it away.
Okay, so hello, I'm Player 5. I'll be running All Dog Treasures, or it's also called Dog Percent. Essentially, what we're doing is collecting all of the dog treasures. So in Breath of the Wild, there's a lot of dogs, and if you feed certain dogs, they will lead you to buried treasure. And so, as a fun category extension for this game, we essentially go around the world feeding a bunch of dogs and then picking up their treasure. So this run is getting all of the buried treasure that you can. And so that's what I'll be running. The current world record for it is held by me at 59:08. And with me commentating is Senor Tapir, who is another very talented Breath of the Wild speedrunner and a former world record holder of Dog Percent.
Hello, I'm here and I'm ready to help Mr. 5 with his run today. Help explain all the cool glitches that have been never showcased before in GDQ, I believe. So it'll be a trip with all the new stuff that we have.
Okay, so I guess I should just get going with it. So I'll give a count off for when to start the timer, because for Breath of the Wild speedruns, timing starts upon gaining control of Link. This is to remove inconsistencies with the first cutscene that you'll see right here. So yeah, I'll give a count off on that. But yeah, this run has had a lot of changes because of some pretty groundbreaking glitches found in the last year and a half. So you'll get to see a bunch of them shown off. Okay, I guess I'll give a count of 3 probably.
Öffne die Augen.
3, 2, 1, go.
One of the first things that you guys will notice is that Player 5's game is in German. That is actually the fastest language for this category, due to a couple of cutscenes that we'll get when we reach one of the later dogs. And that's just due to being introduced to the Divine Beast, which we will not be doing during this run. This run actually ends when we open up the final dog treasure, and we will not be doing any combat in this run, hopefully. And the first trick that he's going to do, he's going to jump up against this wall and then use his scope that he just used to clip outside, and that just has Link pivot on a point and does a 180, and his position just gets flipped back. That pushes Link out of bounds slightly, and it allows us to clip out. Then the next clip we'll do is a crouch clip right here. So walls in this game are kind of weird, where it's not a two-sided wall, it's a one-sided wall. So if we get ourselves underneath a wall and then uncrouch, we can just stick our head back out and then continue to run. And the first thing that we'll be getting here, which will be pretty important, is food, a shield, and a weapon. The shield will be used just for clipping into shrines, which we'll see later. The food is slightly used for backup, but it's mainly used for feeding ourselves. Yeah, that's backup food. But for the glitch that we're going to be doing in about 15 minutes, which completely break the game for us, and do anything that we want this rest of the run. And coming up here will be our first clip of the game using our shield. So what he's going to do is get skew on the wall here, which is basically Link like resetting his position during a shield jump. And then when he does the shield jump, you saw slightly right there, he does a flick, and that's Link getting like tilted back. And he just has enough of himself on the other side of the wall to him to clip through. Another glitch right here, which we'll go into more detail, is Bullet's smuggle slide. He jumps up on a ledge and it allows us to float, which you guys saw earlier during Bubsia's run. But we have a lot more control with this because we can see where we're going. We can see how fast we're going and enter BLS when we want to. And then those were 2 more clips using the same principle that we did earlier with the same skew that we got. And skew carries between clips, but it does get a little bit weaker. But thankfully, the first skew that we got was strong enough for us to still put our feet beyond the wall and clip into the first shrine, which is the bomb shrine. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the first 5 minutes of this game. We're basically just using every glitch that we have in our arsenal in the first 5 minutes. And after that, it settles down. We'll probably explain more of the intricacies later on in the run. But yeah, for now, that's most of it. And this is the final major glitch. Well, second to last major glitch. This is the wind bomb that we're about to do, which you also saw Bubsia doing. But this one we're going to have more control over, which we'll see player 5 do. He's going to set his angle a little bit, and then he's going to turn in the middle of the wind bomb. And this allows us to control our angle and control our speed. And he did a very precise wind bomb there with his jump and turn, which allows us to get to the very end of the shrine in a very speedy fashion. And that is a very hard trick that he just pulled off naturally. It's very impressive watching player 5 do this all the time, because that wind bomb is probably one of the hardest ones we have in any run.
Yeah, luckily it's at the start though, so you can retry it if you fail it. But yeah, everything was going so fast, we didn't even mention fall damage canceling, which was used in Bubsia's run. But yeah, it's like the start of the run is so packed with glitches.
Now we just have some old band dialogue, which we are unfortunately stuck with every single run that we have to do in Breath of the Wild. We have to do the Great Plateau in every single run as well. It's just the nature of the game currently. We have not found a way to skip the Great Plateau, which we're hopefully find one day, but currently it's one of the few things that we still have not found to this day, even though we've found many different glitches and many different ways to break the game. This is one of the few that we have yet to find. If I was going to do another BLS over to Mag, and then
I'm actually going to
this
the
one's
tower.
Oh, that's right, this is tower. There's slight different routing options that we can do depending on the categories that we do. I've been doing a category called All Main Quest recently, which is where we need to get all the main quests in the game, and we would get the tower after Vecnies. There's just slight discrepancies like that further optimizes the game. Us getting the tower now allows us to skip the old man dialogue, which we would typically get after we get the tower. So
Yeah, so the reason we need the tower right here, in an any % speedrun of this game, you would skip this because this cutscene is really long. You can clip into shrines, as we saw earlier. But the tower allows us to open up the shrines, which also makes them act as warp points. And so in this category, using warp points is very useful. And so yeah, it's worth it to get this super long cutscene. as we'll be traveling most of the map to feed the dogs. That is a little battery.
You'll survive.
I'll plug in anyway. Because I have it.
Here you're going to see player 5 do another wind bomb, which is a max height wind bomb, which we need because there's an invisible wall that he just went over that causes us to, if we hit it, we'll just drop straight down. Thankfully, he hit the wind bomb. Not too hard, but it's still pretty precise. He does another fall damage cancel, which we meant to his run. We kind of just reset our round position by unequipping a weapon or a shield in the middle of the throw animation. Magnesis, which is surprisingly one of the most runes in this category, which we don't really see in any other category. To get the treasure chest out of the ground, you need to use Magnesis to kind of flick them up.
Yeah, normally speedruns of this game use a lot of bombs, like almost no cryo, occasionally stasis and a little bit of magnesis, but in this run, because the treasure chests are in the ground, you need magnesis a lot more. Okay, and so right here, I'm actually gonna opt to run through the shrine normally because I have 2 hearts, and the wind bomb that you can do to reach the end of the shrine is fairly hard and sometimes deals like fall damage to you. So it's safer to not go for it. So that's what I did there. Just ran through the shrine normally.
On our way over to the stasis shrine. But first we're going to be getting a couple of items for the glitch that we'll be doing in about 10 minutes for eyes. And this slide is pretty hard because you have to go a long distance, and also he's going to be going up a slope here. When you go up a slope, you'll see Link lose a lot of his speed, and that's because he's finally hitting a surface which causes friction, and that surface just makes you lose like all your speed. We're going to be grabbing mushrooms here,
Oh, let's go.
bird meat here, torch, and a that bird isn't guaranteed to meet, but it's like a 50-50 chance from what I've felt. And if he doesn't, then there's another bird right here that we can... Thankfully, he got a... other 50-50. Ah,
Not quite. But yeah, right here I need to grab 2 wood. And the reason I need 2 of each of these like ingredients is for the glitch later.
probably start describing that once we get off of the plateau.
Okay, so for wind bombs, which bomb you use first or you drop first matters. So right here, I actually want the circle bomb dropped first. So right there, I accidentally had the square bomb equipped. I need to retry it. Generally, if you do a wind bomb with the circle bomb first, you'll go farther. You'll get a stronger launch. And there's a lot more variety because you're getting launched by the square bomb, which has interesting geometry, right? Because it's shaped like a cube, so you can get hit by like a corner, and that will give you a different launch angle. Whereas getting hit by the sphere, it's the same all around. So that's why that matters.
Stasis rune. Gonna be one of the 2 times I've used it in this. here. They're doing like another wind bomb. Just pretty easy to get down, but it is pretty precise. Sense that you have like to hit the monk. But with the nature of wind bombs, this one is kind of straightforward. Still very impressive to get down everything. And after that, I have Ionis Shrine, which, like Player 5 mentioned earlier, is I don't think we use Cryonis in this.
We do not.
Bit of a formality getting this.
Yeah, currently there's no way to skip runes either. If you try, like some of these shrines, well, actually, all of the shrines you can skip using the rune that you're supposed to grab. But if you do that and you go talk to the monk at the end, he will actually send you back. They do not want people leaving the Great Plateau without the 4 basic runes. And right here, this is really important right here. I just activated the Cryonis Shrine, which I will be using as a very useful warp point. It's pretty high up, so you can use BLSS from that shrine to get like to most places on the map. So yeah, it's pretty useful. And that's one of the benefits of getting tower early in the plateau. So I can activate this on the way.
So I guess it's time to mention IST. Because there's not much after this. We're just going to do another BLSS to get the paraglider, and then we're going to be on our way. So, like we mentioned earlier, we're getting 2 items of or 2 pieces of each item, and we're going to use those to kind of desync our memory from what our current inventory actually is. And this will allow us to trick the game into thinking that we have less items than what we actually have, and that in turn when we load the save again, it'll kind of push items onto slots that it's not supposed to be on in memory, but not what we can see. So if we do, how do I describe it? We'll be doing like some inputs. There's no other way to really describe it really. And then that'll allow us to put like our shields onto our bird meat and our wood. And if we put our shields onto the bird meat and our wood in memory, then the game will think like, oh, this item is the shield. But it's not really, so the game just kind of transfers the shield's durability onto the bird meat and the wood. And we'll be seeing that in about a minute or 2. And there'll be a lot of not crazy inputs, just a lot of fast inputs, a lot of menuing. So I'm just trying to prepare you guys ahead of time.
Hopefully it's fast.
Hopefully.
Yeah, these setups are very precise, or like very exact. So you need your inventory like exactly set up correctly, and because like it's so useful in so many runs, you need to like memorize a bunch of these setups. So right here, hopefully I get it correct. Pretty sure I have notes written down. That should help me to remember exactly what steps I'm supposed to take. Yeah, right here, this is the opening cutscene that you're supposed to see at the beginning of the game, but we grab it later. And so yeah, this cutscene activates time of day. So if you clip out of the Shrine of Resurrection, go out of bounds, one of the side effects is that the time of day cycle doesn't start, which can be useful for speedrunning. Let's see.
Yeah, in this category, we need time of day in order to complete the Terrytown quest, which is one of the places that a dog is at. So we'll be going to Agoron, which will need to be there at night, and the Gerudo Lady, which will be there during the day. Alright, so Verify is about to start ISD.
Oh, wait.
He's gonna
There we are.
gonna reorganize his inventory to put the bird meat and the wood at the front. And he's gonna desync the game by holding on to all 5 different items.
So I messed that up. I have to retry it. Essentially, I need to... That I think should work. Oh, that was
He needs to hold smuggle those items and then sell them to Beetle. Then that'll create 5 offsets in the game's memory. And now he's gonna check to see, because one of the side effects is some things can get duped. And in this setup, shields will be duped.
Okay, so now I save. Unequip shield. Drop everything. And I believe I reload. Yeah. Reload, save, reload. Okay. Yeah, so this looks really weird. It's a lot of these different steps they have to take. But the result we'll be able to see in a bit. I don't think I messed it up.
Yeah, it looked good.
But yeah, it's a very complicated glitch, so I don't understand it fully, and so sometimes things can go wrong. Cause things to not work. But here I should... Oh, okay, we're good. Yeah, 999 like bird drumsticks and 999 wood. Which will be very useful for this run.
That's because of the shield that he picked up at the old man's site. It had full durability. And the game thought the shield that was duped as well was on those 2 items, so it put the shield's durability on those items and gave us 999 of each. And all the things that he was doing, where he was unequipping the shield, dropping the items after like the first initial save, there's all this kind of manipulation in order to get, when he reloaded and saved reloaded, all of like the memory slots to kind of be in the right spot. Now we get to feed all the dogs very nutritious drumsticks, where they had to be fed apples and peppers and coconuts. I think it's called a palm. There's the first dog treasure. I'll be heading over to, I don't know what it's called, the lake stable? There, sir. I don't know the stable names.
It's the one by the Kalmakong.
It's, yeah. It's the one where there's the horse quest, you know? You guys remember that casually?
Oh, obstacle course.
Yeah. The horse wouldn't jump through the hoops, and then you'd cry. Yeah, that's the stable that we're going to. Our second dog in the row.
Yeah, and most of the dogs are located at stables. There are a few located in the different like towns and stuff. Yeah, we have to go to a bunch of these stables and feed the dogs.
How many dogs are there again that we're getting treasures from?
16.
16.
16. Okay.
Yeah, there's... I believe there's 14 at stables, 1 at the Car Bazaar outskirt thing, and there's 1 in Terrytown.
Yeah, there's also one at Laurelin.
Laurelin. Oh, and then there's one at Tenno that's on a stable too.
Mm-hmm.
So many dogs.
And they all get fed.
Unfortunately, there are some dogs in this game that don't have treasures attached to them, which we will not be feeding this run. But one of the cool things about IST is that we got drumsticks, which is typically very hard to get because we had to kill a bird in order to get that, and birds in this game are pretty rare. And we would used to farm apples. We would used to farm like 100 or so apples, and then go along with the run. But apples were affected by a wind RNG of all things, where the wind would push the apples and it would make the dog not eat them. So a positive side effect of getting the drumsticks is that we no longer have to worry about wind RNG, and we can just place the drumsticks on top of the dogs and then they'll come over. Another thing with IST that's pretty cool is that we don't have to worry about money anymore. Money used to be a very big issue. We used to have to get 3,000 rupees, or we still have to get 3,000 rupees, but before we had to get them manually. And chest from dog treasures gives you about 2,100, and we also got 600 from this lady right here. We would get the hammer or the axe on top of the shrine stable, and then complete this quest, sell that later, and all that would add up to 2,100. So we had to RNG an extra 900 rupees from ores. But now we just sell the chicken. And that has driven the time down a lot. Because before BLS was found, the world record was around like a 114. Then when BLS was found, it got driven down to a 108 or 109. I think it was a 109. And then with IST, I drove it down to 101, then Player 5 optimized it further and got it below sub-hour, which is very cool. So this category has dropped considerably in time. On an already short category, it's already dropped like an extra 15 minutes in the past year.
Also, to, I guess, go over how the dog treasures actually work. How this happens is essentially you need to feed the dog 4 pieces of food while staying close to the dog. If I go too far away as it's eating, it will actually not count. So once you feed it 4 times, it will run to the treasure, which will have then appeared, because these don't appear until after you feed the dog.
Also, this category used to be one of the hardest, if not the hardest category in my opinion, before BLSS and IST. Because all the dogs are very far away from each other, but they aren't like far enough away to like kind of like have a bunch of warp points to each other. So there is a bunch of very hard BTVs, which are no longer in this run. But BTVs were very precise, where you had to freeze a Bokoblin, freeze a Moblin, freeze a Lozalfos, any enemy, and then shield jump onto them, and that would launch us in a direction adjacent to what we landed them on with our shield. And those were very precise because it depended on like polygon or the angle that the enemy was at when we froze them. But thankfully, all that we have to do now is just get a decent amount of height, find a step-up spot, and then wiggle our way over to a stable or a town. And yeah, this was one stable that we would get food at. It was towards the end of the run before BLSS and IST. And there is a couple chests or crates. It's right behind the link right here. We would have to break to get an extra couple of apples to finish out the run. Because apples were very tight. And our food routing was also very tight too.
Because it's always like a balance. Because the more time you can spend grabbing food, the more time you're wasting. But you want enough food to make it through the run. So you're trying to like grab the minimum amount. Which with IST, that's gone. Like you don't need to worry about that anymore. In
that
fact,
spot that he just... Oh, go ahead.
just in a lot of the runs now, you duplicate fairies. In this run, we duplicate the like bird drumsticks, but in a lot of runs, it's fairies because it's more convenient for healing because they automatically heal you.
Saves us from death. And now we're gonna start the Cherrytown quest, which is why we need the 3,000 rupees and the... We're gonna need 90 wood, but since we need 90, we might as well just dupe it to the max.
Hi.
Or just dupe it in general. And this was another part of the run where there is an apple tree that he just passed, and we would used to grab apples there as well. But now we kind of have to wait here and be slowed and not optimized. There's nothing else really to do.
Okay, Hudson. Yeah, so this guy is the guy who builds Terrytown. So he's starting that quest line right now.
Bye-bye, Hudson. We'll see you soon.
All right, here, I'm gonna sleep at this until night. And this is to set up a fairly tight day-night cycle. Because certain NPCs will not be awake at night, and some of them will only be interactable at night. So this sets up for that.
And that day, night cycle was pretty rude to us in the old route, because where we're coming up to right now is a sheep farm where there's a dog. And for some reason, sheeps like to target apples, but they don't necessarily eat the apples. So the sheep would kind of walk up to an apple, take it away from the dog, but it wouldn't disappear. So we had to watch out for sheep in the old route before we had drumsticks or this current day-night cycle. And that'll become an issue later on, just very slightly with one other dog in the route. But there's two dogs next to each other and we'll have to figure out a way to feed one dog and not the other. Are there any fun names that you have for dogs, Mr. Five?
Yes. There are. I think one of my favorites right now is probably Cheesy Gordita Crunch. So, for dog person, something a lot of runners do is they allow their chat to actually pick names for the dogs. And so that's what I've done. So yeah, all of the dogs I have in my splits, which you can't see, but they're all named pretty random things. Let's see.
Now I want to know what all their names are.
Oh, here, the current dog is named Ligma.
Oh, good name.
So shout outs to chat. Thank you for the beautiful names.
Oh, this small segment of the run is kind of annoying. I forgot about it. So this game has a blood moon, and this blood moon kind of resets everything in the game to what it was before. So it'd like respawn all the enemies, it'd fill up all the chests again and stuff. But there's also a time where a blood moon can randomly happen due to the Switch being very confused. And yeah.
For instance.
And when that happens, we just lose 30 seconds. And all the progress that we had towards the dog is lost. That specific dog is lost. If you have the chest already like in front of you and it happens, the chest will disappear when the blood moon finishes. And it is very tilting.
Yes, right there. I actually got pretty bad luck because the dog had started eating and then the blood moon happened. So if the blood moon is going to happen at all, which sometimes it doesn't, you want it to happen early. But yeah, like this category specifically encounters that problem where we're like moving really fast to a bunch of different areas in the map, so the game can't like load and unload things properly, and then you get a panic blood moon.
I see a question in chat about BLS being dangerous for our controller sticks. Personally, I've gone through one controller, but I don't think it was specifically through BLSS, and there's only the rubber on the top of it kind of came off. But ours controller was like 3 years old, and I got a new one. Have you encountered any problems?
No, not yet.
Yeah. And we're abusing our controllers, joysticks heavily.
Let's see.
This is a pretty hard chain. You have to get 2 max height wind bombs, one of them being a mid-air wind bomb. He does that very cleanly.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons Tower is super useful in this category. Is for the Terrytown quest. need to warp back to it to continue to build the town. And so essentially the quest line is collecting a bunch of these different people that will, I don't know, like man a store at Terrytown or something. And so you go talk to the person to get them to come to Terrytown, and then Hudson will send you to get another person, and it keeps going. So you need to work back a bunch. So yeah, right now I'm going to get the Goron. Who I believe helps build the town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's also why I need night time.
Yeah, the Goron is working between the hours of 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. We have a very tight window to reach him. And we'll also be BLSSing it through Eldin, which is very hot, and will continuously give us burn damage, because if we were on fire the entire time. So we're gonna have to not hit anything, not speed cap, but still go very fast in order to not die. Because one thing with BLSS is if you menu, or if you do like any pause, like any input, the BLSS will just stop in its place. This will also happen if your stick goes neutral anytime. If it rests in neutral, that is. It can cross through neutral, which is the most optimal way to do it, but if it rests in neutral at any point in time, it'll also stop the BLSS. And we're good.
You just need to land here and talk to this Goron, and then you warp out immediately. But yeah, being on fire is always scary. When you have infinite fairies, it's not too bad because they automatically heal you, but because we don't have fairies, it's a bit scary, especially with 3 hearts.
Before before BLSS, we would grab hearty food and just cook 1 hearty food, and that would be good enough for us because we would just wind bomb through Goron, so we still had a lot of food. But since we were tight on apples, we would just have to cook 1 hearty food, and it would typically be enough for us to get through the canyon without having to eat too much. Yeah, he needed the Goron for strength. And there's another house built. Now we're going to be making our way over to Gerudo for... I think he said he needs his clothing to be mended or something. And each time we talk to Hudson, we have to give him more wood in order for him to complete his tasks. Before this part coming up, it is also on a clock as well, because I think I mentioned earlier that the Gerudo woman is only awake during the morning times. So hopefully with us setting the time earlier, it'll be good enough for us to make her cycle as well, which it looks like he will be. I forget when she exactly wakes up, because I know it's not like 5 a.m., but it might be like 5:30 or something. You know?
I don't. I know it's somewhere around 5.
And that's honestly the only reason why we need a time of day, because of these two people. They were available at all times. We could just skip that 1 minute long cutscene at the start of the run. This part is slightly annoying because there is like a temperature cycle for Breath of the Wild, depending also on the day and night cycle. So if we get here a little too early, then we'll have to worry about cold damage in the desert area, because it gets too cold for us at night, just barely cold enough at night for us to take damage. But the cycle that he hit was good to where he doesn't have to worry about that. And this is the reason why we're in German, it's because of this cutscene. It's just very slightly faster than all the other cutscenes. 90% is in French because the first cutscene where we get the Sheikah Slate is, I want to say like 10 frames or so faster. So it's third of a second faster, but this makes up for it.
This is amusing. I'm like in the water.
I've never...
Do I want to know what this dog's name is?
Oh, this one is actually named Split Please, in all caps. So this category splits on the like opening of a treasure chest. So that's exclusive to like this run. And so when you're just starting out with dog percent runs, it can be very hard to remember. And so somebody, because I kept forgetting, somebody renamed this dog to Split Please. And then I forgot. Like the next run, I forgot.
That was gonna be my next question. Did you remember?
Yeah, cause like I don't know. I don't really look at the split names as I'm running. So yeah, I forgot. And that was the first dog I forgot that run. So it almost like had a negative effect. My ability to remember. Okay, so this section, this is going to be a pretty long split. The next dog, we don't get to for a bit because we have to go to Rito Village. And this is also like the segment I would say with the hardest movement in the category right now, because what Tapir was talking about before was like earlier routes had some really difficult movement. Now it's mostly just like slides. So it's pretty easy. But yeah, coming up there's some tricky movement. So hopefully I can nail it. Talking again. Okay. So, talking to him again.
In older routes as well, the last dog that you just fed would have been the second to last dog in the run as well. So there was some copium strats where you would have to buy the watermelon there to feed to the dogs because you would ran out of food. Or you'd have to like blow up the trees to get palm fruit to feed the final dog if you're like that far behind. It was very hard thinking of math, trying to be like, oh shit, how many wind bombs do I have left? How many dogs do I have left? Stuff.
Okay. It's not the angle I'm
That's
supposed
one.
to be sent at.
Yeah. With BLSS, how it works is the bomb is pushing against Link, and that collision is thrusting us in a way, and Link's turning animation flicking back and forth is what also propels him in the way that he wants to. It's kind of like a boat propeller where the boat is just kind of, the boat oar is just going back and forth, and that pushes you forward. The best analogy I have for BLSS. But when you step up into something very precisely, or imprecisely, and just in a very particular way, the friction of the bomb and Link and the thing that you walk into kind of just propels him very fast in the opposite direction of which you stepped up onto, or in the direction that you're actually going towards. So it is used in any percent on the final BLSS towards the paraglider. Top runners like Player 5 and Koroks and a couple other people, they specifically walk into a corner and that just launches them towards the paraglider. It's about a second or so. Because to get to max speed, it takes, I think tasked, it took like 12 seconds from a standstill. If you can like save a second from like a task, it's from a extra propulsion towards the way you want to go. Delivery.
Okay, so right here.
And we saw the.
Oh, yeah. Essentially, I sell all the wood because I've now given Hudson enough wood to complete the town. And then I buy the clothing for cold protection, and because talking to this guy is actually different. Like, if you have, if you're shirtless, then he won't talk to you, which is pretty interesting.
Pretty rude.
Yeah, this is like one of the only speedruns where you actually need, or this is one of the speedruns where you need clothes, and the reason you need clothes is not super obvious. So this is the tricky movement I was talking about. Hope I can nail it. Okay, I got it. Essentially, I did a super launch, and then that really worked. I did a super launch into a midair, where a super launch is essentially pulling the glider on the same frame you have lag. So in this game, the frame rate is not consistent if there's a bunch of like polygons that need to be loaded. I'm sure most of the people who've played the game have experienced this because the Switch is not a very powerful system. So you get to like Korok Forest and there's a ton of lag. But yeah, that lag can be useful for super launches because if you pull glider the same frame you have lag, or like that lowered FPS, then you get 1.5 times the speed from the launch. And so I have to do that. It's not the hardest trick, but missing it can be kind of annoying. Oh, this dog is named Snow, which is a pretty normal name.
In my splits previously, before BLSS happened, these dogs are named Lady and the Tramp. So like kind of together in that sense. I don't know. cute, thanks to my chat.
This specific
But now I don't know
dog,
what they are.
this specific dog is Cheesy Gordita Crunch.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's now my favorite dog.
Let's see. Come on, Link. Pick up the bomb. No, Link, please.
Yeah, this is also a very annoying part of doing BLSS setup. Is if there's like a slight hill, saw there that the bomb kind of just rolls down a hill. That's also a thing due to wind as well. I don't think you've encountered much this run, or if at all.
Not yet.
But if there's heavy wind, it'll just kind of push the bomb away. Oh, this was one of the major parts of Dog Percent before IST. If you like pan around really quick, there's a bunch of trees. And this is where you would farm all of our wood basically. Well, not all of it, about like 50 wood we would farm here. And what we saw earlier, there was like, we were hoping for like a double drop of the wood. There's a major thing here, because if you got, the more double drops you got, the faster you can get out of here. And there's also a 1% chance for a tree to drop 3 wood. And if you ever got like a tree that dropped 3 wood, you'd be like the happiest person alive. And that's one of my favorite step-up spots for BLSS. It's like on the top of the, oh, I forget what they're called. Stables. Just like one very small part. You can just kind of get a step up. It's very cool just to glide away from a stable from the top. And we're coming up to the third to last dog. And this category has evolved a lot. I like how it's very beginner friendly now. And I feel like anyone can pick up this category as long as they are able to learn the IST setup. And it's very cool because this category is very, very cute. It's very fun to learn. It allows you to learn BLSS very well too, and see how like the different step-ups work and stuff. Coming up to the final BLSS of the run. Blow up this tree, wait for it to load in. And then wiggle our way down to the Kaiawan stable. Because I don't know what the name of the stable is, but we call this one by the shrine that's next to it.
Yeah, every stable in the game has a shrine next to it, so instead of learning the names of the stables themselves, you generally will remember the shrine name, especially since usually we're completing the shrines if we're going to these stables. And so the split name would be like Kaiawan.
I believe this dog is one of the, I think it might be the only dog where it'll spawn in a different location depending on the time of day. If it's during the daytime, it'll be spawned here. If it's during the nighttime, it'll be spawned by Cass at the very front of the stable. I don't believe there's any other dog that does that, so. Dog's kind of cool. The Kiowan used to be very broken because there's a lot of food here. There's a lot of stamina food, there's a lot of hardy food. And it used to be used in basically any like shrine category because it was very close to plateau. So you do a couple shrines, then once you got over to this shrine, you would just grab a bunch of food. You'd be set for the rest of the run, hopefully. But now, no more. And we're coming up to the final dog. Called Hot Dog for you?
Yeah.
Rest in Hot Dog.
Which Hot Dog was not an actual dog. It was one of my Pokemon. But yeah, so I didn't have a dog that died.
The Pokemon fainted.
Yeah. Don't be alarmed. That dog's fake.
Mm.
This one's Hot Dog, one I'm feeding right now.
Yeah, this is what I'm mentioning earlier, where the dogs can sometimes get in the way of the proper dog. No.
Okay, timing ends when
Time.
Right there, yeah, time.
GG.
Yeah, there it is. All the dogs.
Such a good category.
All the dogs fed.
I love it so much. Thank you both for coming on and showcasing all the good dogs in this game. Player 5, I want to give you a chance to go ahead and give out any shout outs you'd like to give out. Let people know what to expect if they come to your channel, etc., etc.
Yeah, so I'm, Player 5. I do lots of Breath of the Wild speedrunning. So if you come over to my channel, you'll see a lot of high-level speedrunning of a variety of categories, since I run most of them on the main board. But yeah, thank you GDQ for having me on, Nuclear for hosting. Thank you to Pierre for commentating, and of course a huge shout out to all of the people in the Breath of the Wild speedrunning community. It's a really great place to enjoy this beautiful game. And yeah, thank you all.
Thank you both so much. Chat, just a reminder, hi, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to press that like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. Also go to twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick if you're interested in looking at our live content starting weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. So make sure to stay tuned. Up next is Speedruns from the Crypt, where we will see Deadly Premonition 2, A Blessing in Disguise. We'll be right back.